So I've got to this point where I've not actually said anything on this channel, which I'm actually pleasantly quite happy with. Talking isn't really my, I was going to say forte. I was also really hoping I wouldn't do any music puns. Off to a great start. Anyway, let's get on to some cuestiones. Or is it preguntas? Is that Spanish for question? I did Spanish like a while ago. Hang on a second. So I got a very specific amount of comments. So gonna order them in a way that we've got my kind of musical experiences and kind of just a bit about me. And I'm also going to do another video where I kind of explain like techniques and stuff, because I want to be a bit more detailed, and I've already rambled on. That's the thing, I don't even ramble. Like, I'm literally the opposite. I don't really speak that much. I'm not used to this whole video speaking thing. You might have guessed that already. All right, so I guess the first question is, why did I start playing? How long have I been playing? Why did I choose the trumpet? And my just general background musical experience. So it's worth mentioning that I've kind of been listening to music all of my life. When I was growing up, my parents would always be, playing CDs and having the radio on. So I was always having music around me. I think the two kind of things that I loved the most were Sousa marches and klezmer. Very like different kind of styles, but I just loved them. And I would, quite a lot of the time, I'd just stand right next to the CD player, holding the CD case like this and just looking at the picture for like the hour of the entire length of the CD. So yeah, I was a bit of a weirdo. Then I think I was about 4. I was in Brighton and came across a jazz band that was just busking in the streets. And I saw the trombonist and I was like, that's what I want to do. So life plan sorted. But then we went to a brass teacher and he recommended that I started on trumpet. And this was when I was 6, I think. I think it was actually a cornet I started off on first. But yeah, so I've been playing since I was 6. I'm almost 25 now. So I think that means I've been almost playing for 19 years. But I will say I haven't actually been playing solidly for 19 years because there are several years where I was very uninspired and I didn't really know what I wanted to do with the trumpet. It was partly the music that I was playing, but I think it was just, there was a point where I was in my teens, sort of, I want to say like 16, where I was getting more into like producing music and like making my own music, like with GarageBand and stuff like that. I was more interested in like composition by that point. So then my trumpet playing basically stopped. I could still play it, but I wasn't gaining any progress. So yeah, basically 19 years, but I've not actually been constantly, getting better and better through those 19 years. There was definitely like a 5-year sort of pause. So another question is, do I make my own solos up on the spot or do I write them down? So it's kind of both. In the past, what I've done is I usually just go on YouTube, type in Havana instrumental version, comes up, and then I'll just play around with a few ideas, but I'll usually record myself pretty much from the first note, just because sometimes the best and the most kind of raw and energetic performances to me have always been like sometimes like the first ones when you're not even really thinking about it and you just kind of play what feels right. Sometimes when you play it for the 20th time, you're thinking about it too much and it doesn't really have the same kind of energy. So yeah, I'll pretty much hit record and then I'll do a load of different ideas, pick and choose the ideas that I like, and then I'll try and memorize them on the spot, just because it's a lot quicker than writing it down on some sheet music, because that takes ages. And my handwriting is not very clear, so I wouldn't even know what I was doing. So yeah, so I'd record, let's say like 8 bars, and then I'd have that idea in my head, so I'd memorize the first 8 bars, and then I'd kind of go from that 8 bars to maybe like 10 bars or 12 bars, and then eventually that would be like 16 bars or 32 bars or however long a solo is. So what was my favorite music to listen to? Where do I get my inspiration from? Cool. Well, I'm glad you like Coalescence. That's good. The idea, actually, just quickly with the Coalescence EP, for anyone who's heard it, it was just like 5 tracks that all kind of sounded quite different, but it was a sort of amalgamation of all of my favorite ideas from various genres of music, and I just kind of put them all into one little EP. So getting back to the question of what is my favorite music to listen to, it's probably not what you're expecting. Maybe this will make total sense to you, but progressive metal is actually the thing that I listen to more than anything else by far. I'd say like 90% of my listening rotation is that. And I'm going to list a few artists on the screen now, just so you can get a sense as to who my favorite artists are. But I'm going to do a full video on like each one and why they've inspired me in different ways. But I think rhythmically at the moment, the metal scene is just, it's kind of blooming. It's really exciting, and there's just so many cool artists and original kind of sounds that are coming out of this area of music, which I really like. And it's just kind of inspired me to kind of just do what I want, really, because all those artists, there's no rule book, you know, they just kind of do what they want, and they all sound so different to one another, yet they still kind of, there's still that sort of sound which you recognize in that metal scene. But yeah, prog metal is great. I think I'll leave it there for today. But thank you again so much for watching. If you've got this far, nice one. I really appreciate all of the comments and the engagement and just the general community that we're building at the moment. It's really cool to see, and it's always nice to see things like, you know, saying that I've inspired people to either pick up the trumpet for the first time or pick it up after several years of not playing. So I really do appreciate you all. Thank you so much again, and I'll be back in another video very shortly.